Captain Allison Wright stood at the viewport of the USS Defiant, staring at the stars. 10 years had passed since humans first reached beyond their solar system. 10 years of peaceful exploration and friendly meetings with alien species. 10 years of hope. That peace was about to end. Captain, we're receiving an emergency signal from the Lunar Research Station. Lieutenant Eric Blackwell called from his station. His voice was tight with worry. Allison rushed to the communications panel. The message was broken, filled with static, but she could make out screams and explosions in the background. Under attack. Unknown vessels. Massive casualties. They came without warning. The voice of Dr. Samuel Green cut through the chaos before the transmission ended abruptly. Full speed to the moon, Allison ordered. Alert Admiral Martinez immediately. All hands to battle stations. The USS Defiant was the newest and fastest ship in Earth's defense fleet. Even so, the journey to the moon took 3 hours. 3 hours of tense silence on the bridge. 3 hours of preparing for the worst. What they found was beyond their worst fears. The Lunar Research Station, once home to 5,000 scientists and their families, was now a smoking ruin. Pieces of the base floated in the moon's low gravity. Bodies drifted in the vacuum of space. "My God," whispered Allison. "Scan for survivors." Lieutenant Blackwell worked quickly at his console. "I'm detecting a sealed emergency bunker with approximately 50 life signs. The rest?" He couldn't finish the sentence. "Prepare a rescue team," Allison ordered, "and scan for enemy vessels." "None in orbit, Captain," reported Blackwell, "but I'm detecting similar attack patterns at our Mars colony." Allison's blood ran cold. The Mars colony had over 20,000 people. "Get me Earth Command on a secure channel." Admiral Peter Martinez's face appeared on the main screen. His usual calm demeanor was replaced with grim determination. "Captain, Wright, I assume you've reached the moon?" "Yes, Admiral, it's a massacre. We're preparing to rescue survivors, but we've lost thousands, and Mars..." "We've lost contact with Mars entirely," Martinez confirmed. "Satellite imagery shows extensive destruction. Captain, we're at war." "With whom, sir?" "Who would do this?" Martinez pressed a button and an image appeared on screen. A reptilian creature with scaled skin, multiple eyes, and a mouthful of sharp teeth. "The Valthrians. They're an advanced species from the Orion arm. We've had no direct contact with them before, today, but our allies warned us they're aggressive expansionists. They must have intercepted our communication signals and decided Earth was their next target. Without even attempting peaceful contact?" Allison was shocked. "Not all species share our diplomatic approach, Captain. The Valthrians believe in conquest. First, questions later." Martinez looked away briefly as someone handed him a tablet. "We've just received a transmission from them." The screen changed to show a Valthrian commander. Its scales were dark red with black markings that Allison guessed signified high rank. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in heavily accented English. "Your world is now claimed by the Valthrian Empire. Surrender your resources and accept subjugation or face extinction. You have 24 Earth hours to decide." The screen went blank. "They're serious," said Martinez. "Long-range scanners show a Valthrian battle fleet approaching Earth. Their technology is significantly advanced beyond ours." "We have to fight back," said Allison. "We will," Martinez assured her. "Complete your rescue mission, then return to Earth orbit immediately. And Captain, if you find any survivors who might have information about the Valthrians or their technology, prioritize their evacuation." The rescue team found Dr. Samuel Green among the survivors in the emergency bunker. The xenobiologist was injured but alive, clutching a secure data drive. "They came without warning," Dr. Green told Allison in the Defiant's medical bay. "Our defenses were minimal. We're a research station, not a military base." "Why did you survive when so many others didn't?" asked Allison. Dr. Green's hands trembled as he handed her the data drive. "I was in the secure lab when they attacked. We were studying some Valthrian biological samples provided by the Arcturians last month. When the attack began, I secured the research and made it to the emergency bunker with whoever I could find along the way." Allison's eyes widened. You have information on the Valthrians, their biology? Yes. And during the attack, our systems automatically scanned their ships. The data is incomplete, but it might help us understand their technological capabilities. For the first time since receiving the distress call, Allison felt a spark of hope. Back on Earth, cities were preparing for possible invasion. People crowded in emergency shelters or fled to rural areas. Military bases worldwide were on highest alert. The United Nations had declared a global state of emergency. Admiral Martinez met the USS Defiant when it docked at the Orbital Defense Station. Dr. Green's data has already been sent to our research teams, Allison reported. He believes there might be weaknesses we can exploit in Valthrian physiology and possibly their ship designs. Martinez nodded. Good work, Captain. Now come with me. There's something you need to see. He led Allison through a series of security checkpoints to a section of the station she'd never seen before. The final door required both Martinez's handprint and retinal scan. What is this place? Asked Allison as they entered a massive chamber. Something we hoped we'd never need, Martinez replied. The chamber contained weapons unlike anything Allison had seen before, sleek, advanced, and clearly beyond current public Earth technology. For the past 5 years, Earth's governments have secretly been developing advanced defensive technologies, Martinez explained. After our first contact with alien species, we realized how vulnerable we could be if we ever met hostile aliens. Professor Catherine Davis approached them. She was a tall woman with silver hair and a stern expression. Welcome to Project Prometheus. Captain Wright, she said. We've been preparing for this day, though we hoped it would never come. Why was this kept secret? Asked Allison. Politics. Martinez answered simply. Some felt that developing advanced weapons would send the wrong message to peaceful alien species. Others argued we needed insurance against less friendly encounters. The Valthrians have made a critical error, Professor Davis said, leading them toward a massive hangar where engineers worked on sleek spacecraft. They assume we're defenseless. They don't know what humans are capable of when threatened. Will it be enough? Asked Allison. Martinez's expression was grim but determined. It has to be. We're activating everything we have. The Valthrians think they're hunting sheep, but they're about to discover they've cornered wolves. Outside the station's viewport, Earth glowed blue and green against the blackness of space. Allison thought of the billions of people below, most unaware of the true nature of the threat heading their way. The Valthrians attacked the wrong species, she said quietly, and now they'll learn exactly what humanity does when backed into a corner. Martinez nodded. Prepare your ship, Captain. In 23 hours, when the Valthrians expect our surrender, we're going to give them a very different answer. The 24-hour deadline was about to expire. Admiral Martinez stood in the Global Defense Command Center beneath the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by screens showing the approaching Valthrian fleet. 12 massive warships had entered Earth's solar system, each one larger than anything humans had built. They're positioning for attack, reported a young officer. Their weapon systems are powering up, Martinez nodded grimly. And our defense satellites? All in position, sir. Project Prometheus assets are deployed and awaiting your command. Martinez opened a secure line to all Earth military forces. This is Admiral Martinez. The enemy expects our surrender. Instead, they'll receive our answer. All units execute Operation Thunderstrike. In orbit above Earth, hundreds of seemingly ordinary communication satellites suddenly transformed. Hidden panels opened to reveal advanced weapon systems. On the far side of the moon, concealed missile platforms activated. From hidden underwater bases, submarines launched specialized rockets carrying space-capable fighters. The Valthrians had no warning before Earth's first strike hit them. Professor Catherine Davis watched from the command center as her creations fired their first shots in actual combat. For 5 years, she had led Project Prometheus, developing weapons that combined Earth technology with principles learned from studying alien advancements. Phase 1. Successful, she reported as the first wave of attacks struck the Valthrian ships. Their shields are holding, but we've got their attention. On the main screen, they watched the Valthrian vessels change formation. clearly surprised by the unexpected resistance. "They're launching fighters," someone called out. Martinez turned to Major Ryan Howard, who stood ready with his combat team. "Major, you're up." Howard nodded sharply. "My teams are ready, sir." Unlike traditional soldiers, Howard's special forces wore experimental combat suits that looked like something from science fiction. Each suit could operate in space or atmosphere, and was equipped with weapons designed specifically to counter Valthrian technology. "Remember your training," Howard told his teams over the comm system. "The enemy has superior numbers, but we have surprise on our side. They don't know what we're capable of." The Valthrian fighters streaked toward Earth, clearly planning to target major cities. They never reached their targets. Howard's teams, launched from orbital platforms, intercepted them in the upper atmosphere. The battle was fierce. Valthrian weapons tore through the sky with devastating power, but the human combat suits were faster and more agile than the aliens expected. For every human fighter lost, 3 Valthrian ships went down. In Engineering Bay, 7 of the defense station, Chief Engineer Olivia Sanchez worked frantically to finish her modifications to Earth's defensive fleet. Her propulsion breakthrough had been scheduled for testing next month, but now they needed it immediately. "The stabilizers won't hold for more than a few hours at full power," she warned the technicians helping her. "But a few hours might be all we need." Olivia's design allowed human ships to match Valthrian speed by using a revolutionary form of energy generation. The system was dangerous and untested, but without it, Earth ships would be too slow to be effective. "Last connection complete," called one of her team. "System is online." Olivia pressed the activation sequence and held her breath. The engines hummed to life, glowing with blue energy. "Get me Captain Wright," she called to the communications officer. Aboard the USS Defiant, Captain Allison Wright received the message from engineering. "The Sanchez drives are online, Captain," came Olivia's voice. "All ships in the defense fleet can now engage at full capacity. But be careful. The system is experimental and might overload if pushed too hard." "Understood," replied Allison. "And thank you." Allison turned to her tactical officer. "Lieutenant Blackwell, inform all ship captains. We are go for Phase 2. Engage the enemy directly." Earth's defense fleet, previously holding back in protective positions, suddenly surged forward with unexpected speed. The Valthrian commanders, already struggling to deal with the satellite weapons and human fighters, now faced warships moving as quickly as their own. In a secure room deep beneath Washington, D.C., Alex Montgomery hunched over banks of computer systems. The former hacker had been recruited by Earth Defense 3 years ago after he nearly succeeded in breaking into their secure network. Now his skills were being put to a different use. "I've isolated their communication patterns," he told the intelligence officers monitoring his work. "Their encryption is advanced, but it has structural similarities to systems I've cracked before." One of the officers looked doubtful. "You really think you can hack an alien computer system?" Alex didn't look up from his screens. "Math is universal. Their computers might use different components, but the underlying logic has to follow the same rules. And Dr. Green's research helped us understand their thought patterns." His fingers flew across the keyboard. "There, I've got access to their tactical communications network." For the first time, Earth forces could hear the Valthrians talking to each other. The aliens sounded shocked and increasingly concerned. "They did not surrender as expected," one Valthrian commander hissed to another. "Their technology is more advanced than our intelligence suggested. How are their ships matching our speed? Our scouts reported primitive propulsion systems. The High Command must be informed. These humans are not the easy conquest we anticipated." Alex grinned as he relayed the translations to Admiral Martinez. "They're worried, sir, and I'm starting to understand enough of their system to do some real damage." "Proceed with Phase 3, Martinez ordered. Alex nodded and began inserting carefully crafted code into the Valthrian communication system. Within minutes, the alien ships began receiving conflicting orders. Some of their weapon systems shut down. Navigation became erratic. Back in orbit, the battle reached its peak. The Valthrians still had the advantage in raw firepower, but Earth's Forces had the element of surprise and now the advantage of confusion. Major Howard's teams had disabled 3 enemy fighters by targeting weak points identified from Dr. Green's research. The USS Defiant, moving with its new speed, led a daring attack run against the largest Valthrian vessel. Captain Wright studied the alien ship's design, noting the sections that appeared to house its main power systems. "Target these coordinates," she ordered Lieutenant Blackwell. "Use the new penetrator missiles." The missiles, another Project Prometheus creation, struck the Valthrian ship precisely where Allison had indicated. They bypassed the alien shields using technology designed specifically from Dr. Green's research. The explosion was tremendous. The Valthrian flagship didn't disintegrate, but its weapons went dark and it began to drift. In the command center, Admiral Martinez watched as the tide of battle shifted. The Valthrians, clearly not expecting such resistance, began to pull back. "They're retreating," announced one of the officers. Professor Davis looked at the tactical display with narrowed eyes. "They're not retreating fully. They're regrouping at the edge of our solar system. And likely calling for reinforcements," added Martinez. He turned to face the room of tired but triumphant personnel. "We've won the first battle, but the war is just beginning. The Valthrians will return with greater numbers and a better understanding of our capabilities." He straightened his uniform. "We have days, maybe weeks to prepare. Every factory on Earth needs to shift to war production. Every scientist needs to focus on advancing our technology. And every soldier needs to train for what's coming." On screens around the world, people watched as Earth's forces drove back the alien threat. Fear turned to cautious hope. In cities and towns, people emerged from shelters to see the aftermath of humanity's first space battle visible as distant flashes in the night sky. The Valthrians had attacked what they thought was an easy target. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. Earth was now fully at war and humanity was just beginning to show what it could do. 6 months passed since the first Valthrian attack. Earth had changed dramatically. Cities now had protective energy shields. Ordinary factories produced spacecraft parts. Children practiced emergency drills at school. Everyone worked together for survival. Commander Nicole Price studied the holographic map of the Valthrian forward base located on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Her team of 12 specially trained soldiers stood nearby, checking their stealth suits. "The target is there. Communication center," Nicole explained, pointing to a structure in the middle of the alien base. "We need their attack plans and fleet positions." The soldiers nodded. They had trained for months for this mission. Their suits were designed to mask heat signatures and bend light around them, making them nearly invisible. "This isn't just about gathering information," Nicole continued. "If we succeed, we prove humans can take the fight to enemy territory." 6 hours later, Nicole's stealth ship approached Europa. They landed 3 miles from the Valthrian base in a crater that hid them from enemy sensors. The team moved across the icy surface slowly, their suits protecting them from the extreme cold. When they reached the outer perimeter, Nicole signaled for them to stop. Valthrian guards patrolled the area, their scaled bodies covered with environmental armor. Nicole activated her communication device. "Team 2, create the distraction now," she whispered. On the far side of the base, explosives planted earlier by drones suddenly detonated. The Valthrian guards rushed toward the explosions, leaving their posts. "Move now," Nicole ordered. The team slipped inside the base and navigated through corridors designed for beings larger than humans. They reached the communication center without being detected. While 2 soldiers stood guard, the others downloaded the Valthrian data. "We've got everything," one soldier reported. "Fleet positions, attack plans, and technical specifications for their new weapons." Nicole nodded. "Plant the virus." The soldier inserted a small device into the alien computer system. Alex Montgomery had created this virus to slowly corrupt Valthrian communications without being detected. They were halfway back to their ship when an alarm sounded. A Valthrian patrol had discovered the intrusion. "Run!" Nicole shouted. The team raced across Europa's surface as enemy fighters launched from the base. They reached their stealth ship, just as energy blasts began hitting the ground around them. "Engine start sequence now," Nicole ordered as they boarded. The ship lifted off, cloaking systems engaging immediately. Valthrian fighters searched the area but couldn't detect the human vessel as it slipped away from Jupiter and headed back to Earth. Admiral Martinez read Nicole's mission report with satisfaction. "Excellent work, Commander. This information will save countless lives." Nicole nodded. "The Valthrians are planning another major attack in 3 weeks. They're bringing 3 times as many ships as before." "Then we'll be ready," Martinez said. "Captain Garcia's new vessel is completing its final tests now." The USS Retribution was unlike any ship humans had built before, using technology reverse-engineered. From damaged Valthrian vessels and enhanced by Earth scientists, it combined the best of both species' designs. Captain Daniel Garcia walked through his new command, inspecting every section. The ship was larger than the Defiant, with weapons powerful enough to match Valthrian warships directly. "All systems are functioning at optimal levels," reported his second-in-command. "Dr. Ross wants to show you the main weapon system." Dr. Victor Ross waited in the weapons control room. The brilliant scientist had spent months studying Valthrian technology and biology. "Captain Garcia," he greeted. "I've completed the targeting system for the biodisruptor." Garcia looked at the complex weapon. "Will it work against their ships?" "Yes," Ross confirmed. "The Valthrians use biological components in their ship designs, living tissue integrated with mechanical parts. This weapon disrupts the neural pathways in those components without harming their crews. It will disable their ships without killing, unnecessarily." Garcia nodded with approval. Earth wanted to win this war, but they hadn't abandoned their humanity. Meanwhile, in a diplomatic meeting room, Ambassador Lisa Bennett met with representatives from 3 alien species. The blue-skinned Arcturians, former victims of Valthrian expansion, were particularly interested in what she had to say. "Earth has proven that the Valthrians can be defeated," Lisa told them. "We seek an alliance of free worlds to stand against their empire." The Arcturian leader, a tall being with 4 arms, leaned forward. "For centuries we paid tribute to avoid destruction. No species has successfully fought the Valthrians until now." "Humans are different," Lisa replied. "We adapt quickly. When faced with extinction, we refuse to accept defeat. If we provide intelligence about Valthrian weaknesses, what guarantees can Earth offer for our protection?" asked the Arcturian. "Full integration into Earth's defense network," Lisa answered. "And our solemn promise: an attack on one is an attack on all." After hours of discussion, the Arcturians agreed to the alliance. They provided detailed maps of Valthrian territory and information about their military structures. Other species would soon join as well. 3 weeks later, the second major Valthrian attack began. This time, their fleet emerged near Saturn, clearly planning to establish a stronger foothold in the solar system before advancing on Earth. They didn't expect to find a human battle group waiting for them. Captain Garcia's USS Retribution led the Earth fleet. "All ships, battle formation Alpha," he ordered. "Remember your training." The Valthrian commander opened a communication channel. "Humans, your resistance is futile. We have studied your tactics and brought sufficient force to crush your planet." Garcia smiled coldly. "And we've studied yours. You should have left us alone." The battle erupted with tremendous intensity. Valthrian ships fired weapons that could destroy small moons. Earth vessels responded with precisely targeted attacks that exploited the weaknesses identified by Nicole's team and the Arcturians. The USS Retribution engaged the Valthrian flagship directly. Energy beams and missiles crossed the void between them. "Their shields are at 60%, reported Garcia's tactical officer. "We're making progress but taking damage ourselves." Garcia nodded. "Bring us within range of the biodisruptor." The ship moved closer to the enemy vessel, absorbing heavy fire. "Biodisruptor range achieved," called his weapons officer. "Fire," ordered Garcia. The weapon activated, sending invisible energy waves toward the Valthrian ship. At first nothing seemed to happen. Then the enemy's weapons fell silent, Its engines flickered and died. The massive ship began drifting helplessly. "It worked," exclaimed Dr. Ross, who was monitoring from the science station. Throughout the battle, similar scenes played out. Earth ships, using technologies developed in just 6 months, fought with unexpected effectiveness against the alien invaders. When half their fleet was disabled or destroyed, the remaining Valthrian ships retreated. Admiral Martinez addressed the United Earth Defense Council afterward. "Today's victory is significant, but the war continues. The Valthrians will be back, with new tactics and technologies." "But now they know," said a council member. "They know Earth isn't easy prey." Martinez nodded. They attacked what they thought was a primitive species. Instead, they found humanity, adaptable, determined, and now very, very angry. On view screens across Earth, people celebrated their second victory. But military leaders knew the truth. This was just the beginning. The next phase would be taking the fight into Valthrian territory. The war room beneath Geneva fell silent as Admiral Susan Rodriguez unveiled the plan that would change the course of the war. Holographic displays showed Valthrian territory, dozens of star systems controlled by their empire. "For too long we've been on the defensive," Admiral Rodriguez said. "Today that changes. Operation Spearhead will take the fight directly to Valthrian space." Military leaders from around the world studied the plan. After 8 months of war, Earth had built enough ships and weapons to form an offensive fleet. The Arcturians and other alien allies had provided maps of secret jump points, special regions in space that allowed faster-than-light travel into the heart of enemy territory. "This is extremely risky," said one general. "If we commit our forces so far from Earth and fail, our home will be vulnerable." Rodriguez nodded. "Which is why we won't fail. We've assembled our best ships and crews. Earth's defense grid remains at full strength. And we have 2 advantages the Valthrians don't expect." She gestured to Dr. Jason Chen, a specialist in Valthrian psychology and culture. The quiet scientist stepped forward. "The Valthrians have a rigid hierarchical society," Dr. Chen explained. "Lower-ranked individuals cannot make decisions without approval from above. Their military operates the same way. If we can disrupt their command structure, their forces will become confused and ineffective." Admiral Rodriguez then introduced Lieutenant Kevin Harrison, a young pilot with exceptional skills. "Lieutenant Harrison will lead our new stealth fighter squadrons. These fighters can approach Valthrian ships undetected and target their command centers specifically." Harrison stood straight and confident. "My pilots are ready, Admiral. Our simulators show we can achieve an 80% success rate against their command vessels." The briefing continued for hours. When it concluded, Earth's military leadership was united behind Operation Spearhead. The offensive would begin in 3 days. In his private quarters, General Richard Warren prepared his ground forces for their role in the operation. Unlike the space fleet, Warren's soldiers would be responsible for liberating planets under Valthrian control. "Each of you has been enhanced with our newest combat systems," Warren told his officers via secure video link. "Your exoskeletons increase strength and speed. Your weapons are specifically designed to overcome Valthrian armor." A young captain raised her hand. "Sir, what about the civilians on these planets? The ones being oppressed by the Valthrians?" Warren's expression softened slightly. "Protecting them is our highest priority after neutralizing enemy forces. The Arcturians have helped us understand the needs of different species under Valthrian control. Each squad has been briefed on specific rescue protocols. 3 days later, Earth's offensive fleet gathered near Pluto. 50 warships, including the USS Retribution and the newly commissioned USS Vengeance, formed the main battle group. Hundreds of fighters and smaller vessels supported them. Supply. Ships carried everything needed for extended operations in enemy territory. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge of her flagship, the USS Liberty. "All vessels report ready status," her communications officer announced. "Very well," Rodriguez replied. "Commence jump sequence." The jump points looked like faint blue ripples in space. As each ship passed through, it vanished from our solar system and reappeared light years away in Valthrian territory. The first target was a Valthrian military outpost in a system they called Krell. The outpost monitored a key trade route and housed a significant enemy force. Earth's fleet emerged from jump only 20,000 miles from the outpost, too close for the Valthrians to mount an effective defense. Lieutenant Harrison led the first attack wave in his stealth fighter. Raptor Squad, follow me in. Target. Their communication arrays and command center. The sleek black fighters approached the Valthrian station undetected. Their first shots hit precisely where Dr. Chen had identified the command structure would be located. Confusion spread among the Valthrian forces. Without clear orders from their superiors, many simply held position rather than responding to the threat. By the time higher-ranking officers took control, Earth's main fleet had arrived and surrounded the outpost. "This is Admiral Susan Rodriguez of the United Earth Fleet," she broadcast on all frequencies. "Your command structure has been neutralized. Surrender now or be destroyed." The outpost surrendered within an hour, a shocking development for the Valthrian Empire, which had never experienced such a swift defeat. News of the victory spread quickly through Earth's forces. Over the next 2 weeks, the offensive continued with remarkable success. 3 Valthrian colonies were liberated, 5 military bases surrendered, a major shipyard was destroyed. On the planet Arcturia, General Warren led the ground assault to free the native population from Valthrian control. His soldiers dropped from orbit in special pods that protected them during atmospheric entry. "Remember your training," Warren told them as they descended. "The Valthrians will fight fiercely on the ground, but they're not used to Earth's gravity. Use that to your advantage." The battle for Arcturia lasted 3 days. The Valthrian occupiers had significant defenses, but Warren's troops were better trained for ground combat. Earth soldiers moved quickly in their powered exoskeletons, using tactics developed specifically for fighting the larger, stronger aliens. When the planet was secured, Arcturian civilians emerged from hiding to greet their liberators, the blue-skinned, beings celebrated in the streets of their cities for the first time in generations. Ambassador Lisa Bennett arrived to formalize the liberation. "On behalf of Earth and the Alliance of Free Worlds, I declare Arcturia returned to its rightful inhabitants." The Arcturian leader bowed deeply. "For centuries we believed freedom was impossible. Humans have shown us that no tyrant is invincible." Back on the USS Liberty, Admiral Rodriguez received disturbing news. The Valthrians had discovered the location of the jump point Earth's fleet was using. They were gathering a massive force to trap the human ships in their territory. "We need to change our strategy," Rodriguez told her officers. "If they block our way home, we'll be cut off from supplies and reinforcements." Dr. Chen studied the intelligence reports. "They're expecting us to retreat. Their entire strategy depends on it." Rodriguez smiled slowly. "Then we'll do the opposite. Instead of falling back, we'll push deeper into their territory." "Toward what target?" asked her second-in-command. Rodriguez brought up a star map showing a heavily protected system near the center of Valthrian space. "Their primary military academy, the place where all their officers are trained. If we can capture or destroy it, we'll cripple their ability to command their forces for generations." The plan was daring to the point of seeming insane. Yet after careful consideration, the fleet commanders agreed it might be their best option. The Valthrians would never expect such an aggressive move. As Earth's fleet changed course toward the heart of enemy territory, news of their victories reached Earth. For the first time, people began to believe they might not just survive this war, but win it decisively. In his office at Earth Defense Headquarters, Admiral Martinez received the latest reports from Rodriguez's fleet. "They've pushed farther into enemy territory than we ever imagined possible," he told Captain Wright, who had remained to help coordinate Earth's defenses. "The Valthrians made a fatal mistake," Wright replied. "They thought humans would break easily. Instead, they united us and forced us to become stronger than ever before." Martinez nodded grimly. "And now they're about to learn the full cost of their mistake." The Grand Hall of the United Earth Government buzzed with tension as President Claire Dawson addressed the emergency session. War had raged for nearly a year. Earth had suffered, but humanity had surprised everyone, including themselves, with their resilience and rapid advancement. Operation Final Strike is ready, President Dawson announced. Our fleets are positioned near the Valthrian homeworld. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the Valthrians face an enemy at their doorstep. The assembled leaders watched as tactical displays showed Earth's military position. Admiral Rodriguez's expeditionary force had captured the Valthrian Military Academy 3 weeks earlier. Now they had joined with fresh ships from Earth to form the largest human fleet ever assembled. High Admiral Jack Nelson will command the final offensive, President Dawson continued. The Valthrians have rejected our last offer for peace. They still believe they can defeat us, despite all evidence to the contrary. High Admiral Nelson stood to address the assembly. He was an older man with a weathered face that showed the strain of constant war. This will be the decisive battle, Nelson said simply. We've studied every aspect of Valthrian defense. Their homeworld is heavily protected, but they never expected to fight there. They've always been the attackers, never the defenders. The plan was set. Within hours, the combined Earth fleet would jump to positions surrounding the Valthrian home system. Dr. Olivia Phillips, the government's ethical advisor, requested permission to speak. Before we launch this attack, we must be clear about our objectives. Are we fighting for survival or for revenge? A fair question, President Dawson acknowledged. Our goal remains what it has always been, to secure humanity's future. We do not seek the extinction of the Valthrians, but they must be rendered incapable of threatening Earth or our allies again. Dr. Phillips nodded. Then I recommend strict limits on planetary bombardment. We must win in a way that allows for peace afterward. The President agreed, and the final orders were transmitted to High Admiral Nelson. Operation Final Strike would begin at dawn, Earth time. Aboard his flagship, the USS Determination, High Admiral Nelson gave the command to jump. Over 200 Earth vessels, accompanied by ships from allied species, entered the jump points simultaneously. They emerged in perfect formation around the Valthrian home system. Immediately, alarm signals blared across the enemy's detection network. The Valthrians had never imagined an enemy could reach their core worlds. All ships. Battle. Formation Omega, Nelson ordered calmly. Launch drone swarms. Thousands of combat drones deployed from Earth vessels. These small autonomous weapons had proven devastatingly effective against Valthrian defenses. They could react faster than any human or Valthrian pilot, finding weaknesses in enemy shields and targeting critical systems. The Valthrian defensive fleet scrambled to respond, but they were caught unprepared. Their rigid command structure, which demanded orders from the highest levels, slowed their reaction time critically. The path to the homeworld is opening, reported Nelson's tactical officer. Valthrian defenses are fragmenting. Nelson nodded. Begin Phase 2. Broadcast the message on all frequencies. On the Valthrian homeworld, High Commander Zexthul watched in disbelief as human ships broke through their outer defenses. For the first time in his long military career, fear gripped him. How is this possible? He demanded of his officers. These humans were primitive savages just a year ago. An aide approached cautiously. High Commander, the humans are broadcasting a message across the planet. President Dawson's face appeared on screens throughout the Valthrian capital. People of Valthria, your military has failed to protect you. Your empire is crumbling. Planets you conquered are now free. Your fleets have been destroyed or captured. Earth now controls the space around your world. She paused to let her words sink in. We could destroy your civilization as you attempted to destroy ours. But humans are not like Valthrians. We offer you a choice. Unconditional surrender or orbital bombardment of military targets only. You have 1 hour to decide. High Commander Zexthul raged at the ultimatum. These mammals dare to threaten us in our own home. We will fight to the last Valthrian. But as reports continued to arrive showing the complete collapse of their outer defenses, his advisors grew bolder in their opposition. High Commander, one senior official said, we must consider surrender. The humans have shown they can bypass our best defenses. They have weapons we cannot counter. We underestimated them, admitted another. Our intelligence said they were divided, weak, technologically inferior. We were wrong. Zexthul paced the command center. On the tactical displays, he could see Earth ships moving into bombardment positions. Their drone swarms had neutralized the orbital defense platforms with shocking efficiency. How? He demanded. How did they advance so quickly? His chief scientist lowered his eyes. We gave them no choice. When we attacked without warning, we forced them to innovate or die. Humans, it seems, become most dangerous when threatened with extinction. As the deadline approached, High Admiral Nelson prepared his forces for bombardment. The targets had been carefully selected to minimize civilian casualties while destroying Valthrian military capability. Weapon systems ready, reported his tactical officer. Awaiting your command, sir. Nelson checked the time. 3 minutes remaining. Any response from the surface? Nothing yet, sir. The bridge fell silent as the final minutes ticked by. Then, just as Nelson was about to give the order to fire, the communications officer called out, "Incoming transmission from the Valthrian, High Command." The scaled face of High Commander Zexthul appeared on screen. His usual arrogance was gone, replaced by grim resignation. "Human Commander," he said, "the Valthrian Empire surrenders to Earth forces. We accept your terms." Nelson allowed himself a small smile. "A wise decision, High Commander. Prepare to receive our diplomatic team to formalize the surrender terms." The news spread rapidly across human space. After a year of brutal war that had begun with a surprise attack on defenseless research stations, humanity had achieved total victory. 2 weeks later, President Dawson signed the formal peace treaty with the Valthrian representatives. The terms were harsh but fair. The Valthrian military would be dismantled. Their conquered worlds would be freed. Reparations would be paid to Earth and all other victims of their aggression. In the grand hall where the treaty was signed, Admiral Martinez and Captain Wright stood watching the historic moment. "Did you ever imagine this outcome when you first reached the destroyed lunar station?" Martinez asked quietly. Wright shook her head. "Never. I thought we might survive if we were lucky. I never dreamed we would defeat them so completely," Martinez nodded. "The Valthrians made the greatest mistake possible in warfare. They chose an enemy they didn't understand, attacked without provocation and expected an easy victory. Instead, they found humanity," Wright said. "And now the galaxy knows what that means." Outside, Earth gleamed blue and green against the blackness of space. It was no longer just a small planet in an unremarkable solar system. It was the home of humanity, a species that had proven itself to be resourceful, adaptable, and formidable beyond all expectations. The message to the galaxy was clear. You attacked the wrong species. Earth's wrath has been unleashed, and the stars themselves will remember.